This is Drop Tent Media Network.
Episode 2. Listened to it yesterday, Ep.15.
Are we getting clapped in? Oh yeah, I was listening.
Yeah, you like to do your own clap, right?
No, we like you to do it, but we like to try to do. Oh yeah.
Is that good? Did I time it right?
That's good.
Perfect. So you
man,
were listening back to our ep?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, I was listening.
You're Kirsten. I'm Jamie. We listen to our own podcast.
And you've got to stop being weird about it.
The pod's called Dying Up Here. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. I'm doing my goddamn best to put it out there.
We need to start saying at the end to please follow us on socials. I realize all the other pods I listen to say that.
Yeah.
We need to say our own.
The other pods you listen to probably have famous comedians on them.
No, because if they're that famous, they don't need to say their own Instagram handle.
I don't know. I feel like even Conan O'Brien says.
Oh, okay.
No, he doesn't.
Well, how do you think they got famous? They said their Instagram handle.
Yeah, definitely in 1993, Conan was like, follow me on the Tonight Show. But anyway, you were saying you're listening back and you were
listening back, cracking up. We're so funny.
So funny.
I texted you this earlier this week, but I was editing the clips for social media and I was sitting in the back of a cafe cracking up. And I was like, if anybody were to walk over and see me laugh the whole time at my computer screen and then the reveal that it's just my face, just us talking I would pass away of embarrassment. But in my defense, if you were to subscribe and Dying Up Here, then you maybe would see what was so funny.
True.
It's us. Spoiler.
Also, dying of embarrassment, top 5 more annoying ways for you to die.
Can you imagine?
If that's what the doctor came and you're like, they're like, call it. She was so fucking embarrassed.
She did something so fucking lame.
I gave myself feedback last recording about bothering you?
A little lower. Just yeah. I'm gonna pause.
Okay.
Then dance.
Well, that's the catch-22 for me. I don't like sweaty people near me.
For sure.
So I love dancing at bars when I was younger where I knew bouncers so they could pick me up and put me on stuff.
Love that.
To dance.
So touch.
No, I don't really seek it out because it's usually loud and gross.
Same. I like to dance when there's music, but not at a place that.
You know what's funny? My friend had a birthday party at Tap Tomato, and they have a DJ and whole dance floor area.
They do.
And since it was just us, it was so fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been to Howl at the Moon on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
For someone got a free happy hour or something, and we would go in college. We would all get them, and we'd be.
This was 30s fun because it was just the DJ and us.
Yeah.
And it's a gated in section. There's a wall. So people can't just look at you too. That's the other thing I would hate. How about that? You know what I mean? It's
everyone's watching.
But it's just when you are dancing and having fun, you look up and you see 4 fucking Ukrainian men
just watching.
Ew, cut that. Are we recording?
Yeah, so I know to say.
He's we're in a recording studio. Yeah, we're recording.
I'll just bleep out Ukrainian, but put over a different country. They've already suffered enough. I'll just say Russia.
It's too topical. Okay.
I was saying that I listened back, and last episode I gave myself the feedback that I never finish a sentence. Pause. And a lot of a lot of fillers. And I know we're having casual conversation, comma, but I am trying to be more mindful of stopping my sentences. But the other thing was sometimes I sound like I'm having a different conversation than you are. I railroad just continuing my thoughts. And I was listening and I wanted to tell myself to shut the fuck up.
That is the hardest part about it's so hard to be a podcaster. Our job is so hard.
I don't know how.
And I know people make fun of us a lot.
Yeah.
For having an easy job, but those people don't understand.
Sometimes talking is too much. Sometimes it's too little.
Sometimes you have to sit on a couch with your best friend and just make jokes, and it's They're not that easy to just think of. Like sometimes you have to like really think really hard.
It's just like if you could walk a mile in my socks, because I never wear shoes because we're in a comfy space when we work.
Because we're on a chaise lounge couch.
Like I feel like you would understand more about what it's like to have to talk to your friend.
And just it's the whole time. And I think what's really hard about that is that we have to listen back to ourselves, even when we're being annoying.
Well, and
And it's in the past, so we can't do anything.
our producer can really speak to this, but
Yeah.
it's like it's a beautiful day out today,
And we're in a basement.
and by choice.
And, and we're paying to be here.
Someday,
And you get to look at me, but I have to look at Neil. Like I try to look at you, but he's so much taller, and it's just like he's trying to get my attention all the time.
I've been trying to grow. Okay,
I know.
I thought about bringing my own booster seat, but then I thought it would hurt my back.
It's just hard to grow when you're not getting any sun because you're in the basement. Is that how humans work?
I think we're doing better.
Like
I'm
plan. Yeah.
starting to finish sentences.
Yeah. But it is very, listening to yourself in the past, and you can't do a goddamn thing about it.
Well, specifically the last episode, I felt like 3 times you started to tell me a story that related to mine, and I all but said, no, kept talking. Yeah, taboo button. I did think of you intensely yesterday. I not to timestamp this, but yesterday I went for a walk with my stepdad. And we saw one of his neighbors, and he says, "Hey, so and so, how's it going?" And the man just said, "I'm decaying slowly." And I just said, you know, I hope really slowly.
Yeah.
And then we kept walking, and my stepdad was like, "He looks fine for 80." I was like, what do you say to decaying slowly?
That makes me think of you because of what you say about the things that, what are you supposed to say to that?
Right, exactly.
What do you say?
He said decaying slowly. And so I said, I hope really slowly, because we were on our way to a walk. Yeah, what am I supposed to say?
That's the best comeback I could think of right now.
Right.
Obviously, you could do a redemption hour of it later.
You could say good luck with that to anything. If you're trying to get out of something.
Or you could, it would be like the funniest comeback that there's no way you would have thought of. Like the redemption hour version.
Murdering him. Decaying slowly. Let's make it go quick. Bitch.
Yeah. You pull out a gun. Yeah.
So all my bits, I'm like Michael Scott, all my bits end in a loaded gun.
Boom, Michael Scott.
He said it and he meant it, and he's generally a positive guy, the few interactions I've had with this new neighbor of theirs. But I immediately wrote it down for the podcast notes. It's like decaying slowly.
Like decaying?
Because
more like, I can't think of anything. I thought it would come to me.
Decaying, more like dying alone, sad.
Yeah, I was trying to do wordplay, but yeah.
No.
But just get real with them, yeah.
Yeah, well, and he said it to 2 of the right people, because he said it to my stepdad, who's a doctor, and most of his patients are older. And then he said it to me, and we still both came up with nothing.
He just wanted you to ask if he was okay. We thought it was maybe a cry for help.
Right, when we were mid-stride trying to get our steps in.
It's possible that was his last reach out to people before he was like, I give up. I'm never going to talk to people again. I'm going to just
told them
stay
I was
inside.
Decaying, and they didn't say anything.
They said nothing. Have you seen that? I think I reposted it on TikTok. Have you seen that TikTok of the guy with I
don't think so.
With his eyes he's been sobbing, and it's just him at the camera being like, "Hey, does it smell like wrong dog in here?"
I haven't seen that. That's funny.
And no one says anything. Like, wrong dog. You just check in on your bros, man.
Yeah, but you ever heard the inverse where I was trying to get I was saying hi to someone, and I was physically putting a headphone in, and they started to just ramble about something. I was like, "Oh, have a good day." And they were like, "Ugh, if only I didn't have to date men," something. And I was like, "Oh, what?"
And it's a big conversation.
And then I was had to keep a hand on the chair as if I had to stay. And I felt for them because I wanted to have the conversation, but I had places to be.
Yeah, you can't really I do have a lot of friends like that who you'll be saying goodbye, like you had lunch together and you're like, bye, see you later. And as you're going, they drop something. It's like, well, now we have to stand in this parking lot for 45 minutes.
Right. We could have sat in the booth where we
Yeah.
had lunch.
Yeah.
I wish people. I mean, all my gripes with life come down to the same thing of I wish people could just be more honest and upfront.
But then when they are, upfront. Don't do it at the end of a conversation.
Right.
Don't come in hot later.
Well, and just specific.
As we're leaving.
Hey, I didn't know. Even if it's when we're leaving. Hey, I didn't know how to bring this up. We don't have to talk about it now, but I did want to tell you, and leave.
What's the funniest thing you could say on your way out doing that? Like, I don't want to get into it now, but like funniest because it would be crazy.
Don't want to get into it now, but like I'm getting 3 of my toes amputated. We can talk about it another time.
But it's like really time sensitive too.
Yeah. Tomorrow, can you pick me up in the hospital?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why after.
It's like in movies when they go, like in action movies, they always do this where they go like, I have an idea. And then somebody's like, what is it? And it's like, there's no time to explain. Follow me. And it's like, you have the whole walk to explain.
Yeah.
You're not going to explain till you, and then they get there and they're just like, so are you going to tell me? What did you do in the car ride? You sat in silence?
They're like,
There's
I had to
time.
prove you trusted me. Like,
I had to know you were real.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah. You're giving people the empathy of like an action movie when this person was just like he was gardening and told us that he was decaying.
That's a good line though. Decaying slowly.
He's a nice guy, you know. I was just surprised he said it.
It's like an elderly version of the like working hard or hardly working.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. Yeah. That's already an elderly version. Boomers love that.
It sounded like a nice version of I want to kill myself to me. Like how we say like,
yeah.
It sounded like days are short, life is long. It sounded like something like that. Decaying slowly.
What's really not going to age well is if we get news that this man has died. And that he decayed so much quicker than he had let on.
Oh boy.
I know. Decaying slowly. I'm going to add that to my arsenal though.
I thought you would like it.
It's funny in my circumstance. It's not as funny when you're old. Yeah.
Especially, I think it's a funny way of saying just like, oh, I'm old, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
Which is also
I'm trying to remember any example of that. But when I worked at the retirement home for years, they all had little
still
things
kicking.
like that. Yeah. Yes. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Still kicking. They would be like, this is a classic, right? But another day in paradise.
Yeah.
Another day. And they'd be like, oh, I'm still here. Woke up this morning.
Another day in paradise while someone else is wiping their ass.
Yeah.
I guess that's some people's
that kind of
paradise.
is. Yeah. I mean, imagine you didn't have to do anything for yourself, including wiping your own ass.
I don't.
Is that...
What do you mean?
I forgot when I was staying with you, I had to do that for you. Yeah.
That's why I have a guest bedroom.
You're like, you don't have to pay rent. This is what you have to do. I would do it for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, my mom, I remember, I think what is it, Step Brothers? Yeah. When he says, as soon as she's of age, I'm putting her
I'm putting her in a home, yeah.
I think my mom heard my brother-in-law say that, and she thought it was so funny and so horrific. But I love saying it to her.
Yeah.
As soon as you're of age, I'm putting you in a home.
She thinks it's horrific more and more every year, I bet, because...
Oh, man.
And of age is not that
I told her, I was
old.
like, being in a nice home is going to be better than whatever I could do.
That's what I'm saying.
We're having home care.
That's why, that's kind of the joke, I feel like, is, I should add this to my retirement home bit, but is like, I worked at a retirement home because I'll never get to live in one. That was like definitely the closest I ever got. And it really was fucking nice. This was like a fancy people one. It was a rich people one, but they had it made. And I know like in movies,
expensive.
Like I always think of like, what is it? Happy Gilmore with Ben Stiller as the he has
aide.
The aide of in the retirement home. And he's like, a nightmare or whatever. Everyone was treated like a fucking princess in there. Man, woman, doesn't matter. You're a little pretty princess.
Money.
Money. I cannot imagine what it must have cost them to be in there. But boy, did they remind you constantly that they were paying too much to be putting up with blank. Too much for the food to be this cold or bland or too much.
I wrote an unhinged icebreaker.
Ooh, buddy.
Do you have one though?
I
wrote it in honor. This is technically your birthday recording.
Okay, perfect.
Timestamping this episode twice now.
Okay, great. I do have an
unhinged. This question has nothing to do with birthdays, though.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
So, would you rather?
Ooh, mine is actually kind of a would you rather as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Would you rather date someone whose mom shows up anytime you ate together? Like anytime you shared any sort of food, his mom just appeared. His or her, because I know you're bisexual. So would you rather date someone whose mom showed up anytime you ate together, or someone who would text their mom every time you had sex to tell them how it was?
Yeah, that's tough, right? Because you don't have to see her. You don't have to interact with her personally. Every time you ate out or just ate?
Anytime there was food but shared between the two. If food is present, the mother appears.
Even if I'm not involved, though, she shows up every time he eats.
No, just when you two are together having food.
It really comes down to if I like her. Like, there's some people I dated, I really like their mom, and I'm like, I'd be happy to have a meal with her all the time.
But could you date someone that had to text their mom to report how the sex was every time?
No, I don't. I think I could be okay with that if I never had to see the mom. Like, if it was truly just a text, like she lived far away, we never saw her or something.
Interesting.
I think I'd get in my head because I think I've never.
You're going to tell your mom about this, aren't you?
Right. And also, like, I do pride myself on the fact, not to brag, but I've never gone through someone's phone like that I've dated. Like, I've never been the person who does that. I understand that there are circumstances where people, and a lot of times you're proven right?
Yeah. Yeah, if you have to go through a phone, you already know it's
right. It's already over. Yeah. But sometimes I get it. You just want to feel like you're not crazy. And usually you're correct in what you were thinking. I have never gone through somebody's phone that I've dated, but I think it would eat me alive to hear the reviews. I need to know how they said I did.
7 out of 10.
Yeah, right. Imagine.
Tired after work.
She gets out of breath so quick.
Love you, Mom.
Yeah, I think it would.
So
food. Yeah, we're eating with her.
Yeah,
every day, multiple. Well, maybe at least just dinner. You know, I think I would. I think it would encourage me to eat with that person a lot less.
Hopefully, she's decaying quickly.
Oh, here's hoping. Yeah, I gotta date somebody who's in his 50s, so that their mom is in her 80s.
Yeah.
And it's a shorter term commitment. And then it's really just a matter of who dies first, me or her.
If I had to answer, I agree. Food, for sure.
Yeah.
The other one is, complete psychotic break. I wouldn't want to see the reviews, but just knowing he's like rolling over and like typing on his phone immediately after. I
guess the question is he doing it out of requirement? Or is it like the food one is like she has to show up every time, but the sex one is like he wants to do it?
Say it's the same type of magical pool.
Like okay. It's not like he wants to do it.
It's not like his mom is asking.
Okay.
Like it's just a requirement. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote this.
No, that's actually about as well. What's your answer first? It's food.
It's the eating because the face-to-face interaction is fine. There's something about like doing something private and needing to tell someone about it. I'll never understand.
Yeah, right. Like reporting back. It's such a middle school thing.
Because I have
like how was it
people that are like that tell a person like relay everything.
Yeah.
And I relay a lot, but I'm never like in an intimate moment like, oh, I can't wait to tell Kirsten about this.
Fucking wait to report back. Yeah. You get the option to have unlimited money for the rest of your life on the stipulation that every morning, forever, you have to wake up and watch Keke Palmer's hit film, Aquila and the Bee. And every night, you have to watch the 1998 classic Babe 2, Pig in the City. You have to pay attention, cannot be on your phone. Do you take the offer? Every day.
Yeah.
Every morning, Aquila and the Bee.
So
every night, Babe 2, Pig in the City.
I am someone who can rewatch a sitcom in cycles.
Yeah.
I would focus on something new every time.
Okay.
I would start acting it out once I got the words down.
Okay.
Yeah, if I didn't have to worry about anything else the rest of my life, Aquila and the Bee and Babe 2, I know it would drive me nuts that that's the first thing I had to do every morning.
Yeah.
Because it's a long time. I would start waking up at 4 a.m. to just get it over with.
Yeah. And at night, it's like, okay, if you just have to watch one movie at night, you can be high, you can have been drinking, it's a little better. But during the day, like you have to start your day with Aquila and the Bee.
I've never seen it.
You're about to. Whole
Money?
bunch.
That's a big check walks in right now. Money. Okay,
yeah.
now I want to watch it.
Yeah.
I think I could commit to a habit like that.
Building habits is important.
Can I work out during it?
No, you cannot do anything
Just
but watch.
seated on the couch watching.
Yeah,
Can I
like a
watch-
little kid
but I can
watching a
watch
movie.
with someone else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to have, that's also part of it is, let's say you have a guy over.
Mm.
You're like just really into somebody. You just started
I've
seeing them.
never.
Sorry. Let's say you're married and then you have sex with somebody.
Worse.
But you have somebody and you're really into them and you like finally want to take that step, like let them like sleep over, not just come over for sex.
Mm.
And you're like, I have to kind of
Do you want to come over
warn you. There's
Babe.
this thing I have.
too?
Hey, babe.
Too.
There's this thing I have to do every
Mhm.
night.
And he thinks it's like putting a mouth guard in. But
Yeah.
I set up surround sound for Babe too.
Yeah. And then he's like, well, it's okay. Like, obviously, if we don't have time to like, hang out as much at night because we have to watch this, like we'll have the morning. And you're like,
Mhm.
here's the thing. I have to watch Aquila and the Bee, starring Kiki Palmer. And then you come into the fact of like, you could have somebody who actually could have been the one for you, but they maybe can't put up with it.
But we're also saying this while I'm in a, Texas king bed
Mm.
on the ocean somewhere on my private island.
You'd also get really good at spelling because Aquila and the Bee is about the spelling bee.
Exactly.
I don't know what Babe 2 Big in the City is about. I mean, I imagine Babe gets out and he is in the city.
If I
It's just the
remember
context.
correctly, Babe is in the city
Yeah.
for that one. I believe he leaves the farm
Yeah.
and makes it to the city. Too.
Okay. Yes, that's my answer. I'm a chronic rewatcher. I mean, there's nothing that I
Right.
like that I haven't seen. For me, a small amount of having seen something, if I'm like, oh, I've only hardly seen it, that's at least 5 or 6 times for me.
Now I'm combining ours and picturing your mother-in-law having to be there while you watch Aquila and the Bee every day.
Big in the City for dinner.
Well, truly, it would feel like she's Babe too.
And you're the pig in the city.
True. That's crazy.
Okay.
I want the money.
I'm glad that our questions were about the same level.
Yeah, cuckoo bananas.
Okay. Great. Because I have 2 things that I would really like to later roast or
Oh,
resurrect.
please.
But I think we should do our roasts first.
Roast first?
Yeah. I think.
Okay, you do first.
Okay.
Because in honor of you turning 30, I have a bunch.
Yeah. Okay.
So please go first.
Okay. I only have 2.
Okay.
Let's see. Jamie, I love the running show that you produce called Playtime Comedy. Did you choose the name because those shows are your playtime when you get to pretend to be a headliner?
My lady.
Good, sir.
That's good.
Thank you.
Oh,
Next.
I need you to go back to back because
Oh, I do.
need to nail
You're gonna
these
rattle
out.
them?
Yeah.
Okay. Jamie, you have that joke in your stand-up about people asking, how did that happen in regards to you being conceived? I'm curious, were you conceived through sex or did your parents just go into the bathroom and say Asperger's 3 times in the mirror?
It was on a couch. Thank you.
My mom on top?
Wow, nailed it.
Side note, I loved watching you do that set in front of your mom. I had never seen her see it before. She
Oh, yeah.
still did a respectful laugh.
She did? That's
Yeah.
nice.
She did a little
Yeah.
like a knowing
I'm
yes, it was.
Well, I wonder what she told her friend.
Yeah.
'Cause she brought her friend that has not seen anything, and I really went ham on the dead dad stuff.
Oh, her friend hasn't seen your stuff.
Oh no, I've met that woman once.
That's a fun reveal. I mean, granted, it was a
I'm
concept
sure
show.
they
So.
had an hour car ride. I'm sure they talked. I'm sure my mom was like, "Just warning, my daughter's a filthy, filthy whore." All right, Kirsten.
Ooh, 10 in a row.
It's like more like 8.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I will just let you go.
Okay, Kirsten. I didn't get you a gift for your birthday because I didn't think you would make it. So I'm gonna roast you now instead.
Thank you.
Kirsten,
Mhm.
9/11 and your birthday. 2 days no one saw coming. American tragedies that we are forced to relive because you don't stop talking about either. Do you think there's a doctor out there who gets annoyed on your birthday because you're still alive and they have to adjust the statistics? Since you're 30 now, do you think you'll stop telling people you're sick because no one cares when an adult dies? Since you're 30 now, do you ever think you'll stop wearing an oxygen backpack and get an oxygen briefcase and perhaps a job? Kirsten, do you like having an excuse as to why you'll never get married? I did just read something this morning from the American Hospital Association. Having a disease is not a personality. I'm not sure what you're going to do now. I did also read something this morning in the Hollywood Reporter. There's a high demand for aging women in comedy with terminal diseases. Not. Do you think you say that roasting's your love language because you've never been loved before? Happy birthday.
Wow.
Sicko.
Speed round. Wow. I
think that was good.
have no notes. Wow.
I was cracking up writing. I was thinking about like the doctors or statisticians have to be like, fuck, she's still here. Like the one outlier, like your dot's over here on the chart.
Yeah.
Much like my stepdad asking about that company with the cystic fibrosis, he can't wrap my head around it every time I say you're terminal.
Yeah.
He's like, but they're doing so much work. They're doing all this.
Yeah.
Like, she just
for
has the
people who are-
one case.
Yeah. People who are born now. Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
the one case that's a theater performer and won't give up even though no one wants to hear about it anymore.
I have the not like other girls of cystic fibrosis mutations.
The pick me mutation, if you will.
They were like over 90% of people with cystic fibrosis will have the same mutation. And I was like, then I'll take the other one.
Well, and to elaborate, my stepdad being a doctor, he reads up in the medical journals and things.
Mhm.
And he keeps asking me about this company that has
These new
meds for people with cystic fibrosis that not necessarily cure, but living much longer, higher quality life.
Yes, exactly.
And he keeps asking why you don't just take them. And
why didn't I think of that? That's such a good idea.
And I said to him something similar. I was like, she's not going to doctors. Like, because I'm sure they're trying. I just didn't know how to articulate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's why I texted you just to confirm that you weren't just faking it.
Yeah, right. I'm just not going to doctors and hoping, that
you're just like dabbing up with like, what's that oil people use?
Oh yeah, like essential oils. Most people with cystic fibrosis have the same mutation, the Delta 508 mutation.
Delta 508 mutation is 90% of cystic fibrosis.
Most people with it have it. And that is what that's where all the research goes. Of course, as it should. All the money, they also they also try to get into the other mutations as well. But
as it should, only that it's a greater good situation.
Exactly.
Trolley problem. It's Kirsten versus every other kid with cystic fibrosis.
Exactly. It's like the trolley thing of like the trolley problem. Mm-hmm. Like you just run over one person or you run over like five. And it's like, obviously I get it. Also, the medicine is really helpful for especially people who are being born, who are younger now, because when you're somebody who's already had CF through the rougher times before we had this medicine, there's so much scarring in your lungs that like a lot of damage is already done. Things are going to be a lot better for you. But hopefully one day they will have it for my little mutations, my little special mutations that you probably never even heard of. They're pretty underground.
Yeah. No. One time I saw them at Union Transfer.
Oh yeah, name 3 of their albums.
No, I was there. It was like you can bring cell phones in. Like it was like you wouldn't remember.
It was like a surprise show that I only heard about.
Like you wouldn't get it. My boyfriend from a different school told me you wouldn't.
God, I love it.
You wouldn't even know.
There's never gonna be a time that someone can use they go to a different school joke that I will not laugh. You don't hear it often. I could hear it every day and I'd laugh.
I did have someone that was like in Battle of the Bands that I was like seeing that was in a different school. And by different school, I mean he was 19.
So he didn't go. Okay, got it. So college.
Barf.
College is a different school.
Barf.
Wait, so how old were you?
Redacted.
Okay. Whatever
was-
you say, we'll
It's
superimpose
just like
you
such
saying
a crazy
19.
thought. It's like, don't you want fully formed boobs? Like, let alone all the pedophilia thought.
How unformed were
I mean, they weren't what they are
they?
now.
Or deformed?
Yeah, they were concave. You know, pre-puberty when your boobs go.
Your boobs go in. And then you start puberty and then they start to
I
flatten
just
out
mean
normal.
like nothing. I know this is a deeper context, but nothing to me is attractive about an 18-year-old.
Good. That's how it should be. It's like those.
So when I think about those 19-year-olds that were like sniffing around, like hanging out the mall and
Mhm.
doing whatever, I'm like, what about?
What do you have in common? Right. You're in such different, even though it's a couple years, you're in such different places in your
Well,
life.
no, we liked bands that you would have never heard of.
Oh,
You
guys had this thing in common where you were both better than
We
me.
were just like such rebels. Like, his like what he was into was actually illegal,
Mhm.
and my stuff was just no.
Yeah. And it's what's tough too is that like your parents are just never gonna understand.
They just don't get it.
And they just like think it's a phase. And you're like, it's not a phase, Mom, it's who I am.
Like, Mom, I
being
love
underage.
being groomed. You don't get it.
Yeah, being groomed is who I am. And if
Yeah.
you think this is a phase,
No,
then
he
you don't
really
get me.
likes me. It's
Yeah.
okay that he teaches social studies at a high school. He really likes me. Blech.
Do you know that song 29 by Demi Lovato?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that song. Like the premise of it, because it is such a very specific thing of like, I don't know if we've talked about this on here, but like when you are the younger person, and like I know you and I were, I'm sure, the same way, which was like the younger girl dating older guys because we were just problems. And it was like, you think it's so cool when you are the 16-year-old.
I will say
With a
I
19-year-old.
experienced it one chunk of time.
Yeah.
And it was like I was probably
And it's always in the music scene, by the way.
and it was that kid.
Same thing
yeah.
where I was such
and
a
then
pop punk
after
kid.
that I was not like I
Yeah.
was back to high school.
It's also such a stereotype of the pop punk guys, the guys who hang out at the,
Oh, you know what we had in common? The same PacSun jeans.
right. Oh yeah, he probably
That's-
could have shared them because
No, that's how we started talking.
Yeah.
He came up to me, he's like, we're wearing the same jeans. And that worked when I was 15. Barf.
but it's like thinking back, once you are the age of the older person, you're like, like in that song, and they say like, now I'm finally 29 and like 17 would never cross my mind. And it's like, but when you are 17, you think that's so cool. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's because
You're
I'm
not
grown up.
questioning why this guy can even afford to be hanging out here. Like,
Right.
you have no friends, nothing to do.
Yeah. You think it's like, it's because I'm grown up, I'm the exception, I'm mature. And then you hit that age and you're like, I wouldn't even speak to a 17-year-old.
What's even crazier is this man
Uh-huh.
at the time. I don't remember if I told the story. We went to the movies once and
Maybe.
he came, like, he was like, I'm going to go grab a soda. And I had like put the armrest up. We were with other friends.
Sure.
We were with couples of the
Yeah.
same age,
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
age, my friends.
A
'Cause
group
I'm not
date.
an idiot, wouldn't go places alone.
Mhm.
And then he came back and he like put the armrest down. He was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. We were sitting next to each other. And he was like, well, those are my girlfriend's friends. So you guys will like to know that I've always and forever been a side piece.
That
So
should be in
even-
your
My predator was cheating.
wow. How many times can you do a job before it officially gets to be in your email signature?
My
Like
email signature.
comedian, content creator, side
Side.
piece.
Here's the thing. Side piece puts the man up top.
Agreed. Yeah, we need a better term for it.
Well, like to them it might have been a side piece, but to me it's like also, like I don't want a relationship with that person.
Producer and friend Neil Wood here. Brief commercial break.
Hey, hold right there. Don't dare skip this. This is an important message. Me and my boy Albert Davis, we want to tell you about our podcast, Seriously Dad. Albert, why should they listen?
Because it's the best podcast in the world. It's by two comedians who are dads. And you know what we're talking about? Being dads. It's called Seriously Dad. Check us out on social media at Seriously Dad Podcast. And
Anywhere you get your podcast, that's where we're at. We're funny. We got some great guests coming our way. We cover the topics you want to hear. Check us out.
You said something once, and we can completely cut this if you don't feel comfortable with me repeating it, but you said something that really stuck out to me. It was recently, and you used the term imaginary friend about like being somebody's like, and like instead of calling it a side piece, but a similar thing where it's like basically we are this thing that we both know and there's more to it emotionally, but yet we both just pretend I just am Casper haunting you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's both sides, imaginary friend.
Yeah.
It's
a very like beautiful and like apt way of putting it.
I doubt this man will ever listen to our podcast, so I'm going to say this about this man.
Go ahead.
A text I received this week.
No.
A man I went on a couple dates with, and then we just weren't in a place to be dating, but he always like wanted to prove that he wanted to, so we wouldn't normally hang out, but then he would do like a grandiose thing by like driving to see me like far away or something. And then whatever. I moved.
Is this the person we were talking about last week?
No.
Okay.
A different one
that
love bombed, but then could never just like be a normal hangout date.
Yeah.
So we have known each other for 7 years now. Yeah, 7 years. We went on 2 dates, and then like when I moved back to Philly, we went on a date. And then we were like texting. I think this was last year. We've always texted, and he'll never make plans, but always keeps me.
Yeah.
So I used to call him my back pocket because he was always in my phone and nowhere else. So to like, if I referred to him, I wouldn't say his first name.
You're good at these.
It was back pocket. But then he
you said that, and Neil and I both went, ooh. Oh, she's good. This girl knows how to paint a picture with words.
So he's back pocket. And whatever. We were texting one day. This was probably 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago. Texting one day, like flirty, whole thing. And then 3 days later, out of nowhere, paragraph text from him. Back pocket gets a backbone.
Ooh.
Says, Jamie,
you're so good.
It's crazy.
Oh my God.
It said like, Jamie, you're beautiful, you're funny, smart.
True.
Yeah, I was like, all right.
You know.
He's like, but I'm in a relationship and I want to give it a serious go. And I was like, today?
Yeah.
Well, I was like, how long have you been? And I said, I was annoyed enough that I just said, oh, today's the day. And I said, talk to you in 6 months. God bless.
Yeah. When you fight next, or you're drunk.
Right.
Or you're alone on a bachelor party or something.
I think it was less than that, like probably 2.5 months. He's still out here. So he like flame emoji'd my Instagram story the other day.
That's always how it starts.
And I said,
don't fucking touch the flame emoji.
I messaged him when I got it. I said, hi, weenie. And he said, good morning. I said, I accept any of your Instagram.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait.
Yeah.
No, let's break that down.
That's the worst part?
Hi, weenie. Good morning. So formal.
I said, I accept any of your Instagram reactions as you still wanting to fuck me. So I figured I'd say hello.
Okay.
And he said,
good for you.
You're not wrong. Good morning.
He said it again.
Yeah. Well, he said something that I didn't want to share. It was more embarrassing than good morning, the first greeting.
So just good morning. Okay.
Yeah. So what was my point? Oh, people existing on my phone. Imaginary friends. Oh, the thought of it, me being the side piece, is like they actually put more effort into the side piece than I ever think about it.
For sure. Because also the whole aspect
That's why I think side piece is like in my case is a misnomer. Like,
yeah, no, there needs to be a better term for it. It's just so outdated, but it's something that we all just recognize what we mean. But yeah, I think it is like, yeah, the concept, especially with like social media and texting now, where it's like a side piece in the 90s was like someone you were literally like seeing actively on the side. Now you often still are, but you don't have to be
emotional.
Constantly communicating.
If I call him back pocket, I told him I'm his what if.
Yeah.
So whenever he's like a wandering thought, he's like, hey, how are you?
I mean, don't you have those friends who have never left a relationship without having something lined up? Like it's a...
Which comedian says this? Tarzan dating?
Oh, I don't know.
That up. Someone has a bit about like swinging by Divine.
I don't know, but that's a very funny way to put it. Yeah. Yeah. Like the people who just like so clearly, like they start dating someone new.
That's cheating. If you're calling it monogamy, that's cheating.
Right. And like you so clearly, they break up and then they start dating someone a little later. And then when you meet that person, their timeline is.
You know what's decaying slowly? Their relationship.
Yeah.
It was Beth Stelling.
Beth Stelling. Yeah.
She's funny.
She's great.
Tarzan dating. That's fucking funny.
Yeah. She said it, and it was referenced on a podcast I was listening to.
Oh, I like
she was
that.
on recently. Yeah, Tarzan dating.
Yeah. Yeah, you have it all aligned. It's like you don't leave a job till you have another one. Like you've never taken a chance on anything, which really, the job thing at least makes sense fiscally. The other one is just like you cannot be alone with your own thoughts. Like your pillow cannot get cold.
I think of how we've offered, like have talked about so many times that my brain is so black and white that it even comes to these dating situations where people like when someone says like these grandiose things to me, I believe them because I don't understand putting the time into lying.
Yeah.
But I also understand that they are lying and they're just doing that for themselves. I just can't wrap my head around spending the energy to do that.
This is such a dumb, it's not even like a quote because it's not memorable or a joke, but like there's like a line in The Office where Kelly is talking, like fighting with Ryan and Toby has to like listen to it, whatever. But what she's saying has always stuck with me because he's like, why would I lie about that? And she's like, Ryan, you lie all the time. You lie for no reason. Ryan, you just like to lie. And I think about that a lot because I'm like, oh yeah, there are people who it's like a passion. They're like, it's just like, I don't know if it's just like a thrill, like how there's people who just like to steal even though they have money. Like they don't need to. They just do it.
It makes me feel good when they're like, I miss you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude.
Yeah. And some people truly just like my best friend in college, who has, who I will not say their name, but like would lie.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. And we have come a very long way and we have a great friendship now. But like there was a time when this person was lying constantly, but it was everything that they would say was I would follow up with, what do you gain from this? Like what does this lie? I remember one time that like ended up being like we joke about it now, but it was like we were sitting at the dining hall and like two friends came in and they're like, oh, we were just at the movie theater. We just saw the Lego movie. And my friend goes, oh my God, it was so good. And I'm with this person every single day. And I go, it's in theaters right now. I was like, you've never seen the Lego movie. And they were like, yeah, that's true. I'm sorry. And I was like, what? Like they were at least like willing to acknowledge it. But I'm like, what do you gain?
Well, and it's like, what in the childhood trauma triggers you to just say, yeah, me too.
Big time. Yeah. And like, I mean, and I'm like very close with their parents as well. Like, because like we would always like spend breaks together and stuff. And their parents are like, you know, again, they've come a long way and gone through a lot of therapy and are a lot better now. But like we were 18, you know, but they would be like, yeah, literally even when they were a little kid, we would take them to the doc. Like the pediatrician would be like, they will not stop lying. We do not know what to do. And it's over nothing. And it's like, it really is just like it really makes sense when somebody who's a pathological liar goes into acting or performing. But then those people always in class, like when you start to learn technique of acting, those people do really well during the 1 year that we do method acting. But everything else that is completely not about actually believing it. And it's just like, it's technical, you know, it's about being able to do it 8 days a week, even if you don't feel it that day. It's just like a rote thing. And all the other techniques of acting don't have to do with that kind of the lying thing. And those people like they do not do well at all. Like, you know, the shittiest Hollywood people, like the Christian Bales of the world or whatever, the Jared Letos are the ones who got into acting because they're just manipulative. And it's like, that only gets you so far.
I can't lie. The only 2 times I've tried to lie to like, I moved to Pennsylvania in 4th grade and I had an easier time, like, you know, playing outside, with some kids, but everyone had like solidified friends by 4th grade.
Yeah.
And making friends was hard. And there was a girl in my neighborhood. I'll never forget this. She'll probably would never remember this in a million years. But we were talking and I so badly just wanted friends. And I never lie. And I lied in this moment, similar like the movie thing. She was describing an episode of Full House and was like, did you see that one? And I just said, oh, yeah, I think I remember it. And she was like, really? Because I just made that up. And I remember just thinking, like,
that's formative.
First off, like, why would you do that? Just to make me look like.
First of all, entrapment. Legally, if you're a cop, you have to tell me. First of all.
What? But I'll never forget it. And I'll never forget her doing that because she knew probably that I so badly. I don't think she could clock that I wanted a friend. I think she clocked that I was being like a yes person.
Yeah, right. Like not lying by omission, whatever you want to call it.
Or just like going along with whatever she was saying. And
like the Andy Bernard's, like, yeah, like not to reference Office for the third time, but like when Andy first shows up and he's more Michael than Michael. And Michael's like, oh my God, I can't fucking do this. Like he says yes to everything.
Right.
We have the same top five favorite movies down to the number. What are the odds? And it's like, because he's fucking lying to you.
Well, and I just remember thinking it was so cruel too on her behalf.
That is very, you said 4th grade.
5th, yeah. Cruel. And
that
then,
gave me chills, and I am about to be 30 years old.
Yeah. Well, clearly, I remember 2 times I lied. I mean, I had a house party in high school, but my mom says I never lied because I told her, I was like, Mom, I'm having people over.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, okay.
Mhm.
And left. Didn't
Right,
believe me,
yeah.
But I did. And then a couple of years ago, I lied to a Lyft driver. They asked me what I did for work.
Mhm.
And I said I was an accountant.
Yeah.
I figured there's no follow-up.
Yep. I do that lie all the time.
Guess who
Sales.
also was an accountant? and
No.
wanted to know where I worked.
So every time you lie, it backfires.
So I had to fake a phone call the rest of my 8-minute lift home. And I was like getting picked up from a train or a flight or something. And I know people were like, you just don't have to talk to a Lyft driver. I was like, if I'm alone in a car with a man for my life and safety, I'm going to respond.
Right. I'm not going to be rude or, just ignore you.
Yeah, but otherwise, I can't think of any time I lied. But
yeah.
it does, that ties into one of my late arrest things.
Go ahead, please. Please.
A late arrest of mine is when grown men ask me what the deal is with one of my friends. Like a friend they want to
That phrasing
ask out.
too, yeah.
In the time you send that message, and it's because I'm honest, and because I'll straight up be like, no, gross, get away, shoo. Or I'll be like, yeah, okay. And it drives me GD insane that since 4th grade on, I have been the point person for these bitch ass men who can't just ask someone out on their own. I got a message this week. What's to do with your friend so and so? And I said, bye. She's a grown up. You're a grown up. Ask her out if you want to. Stop getting me involved as a safety net for you to feel better and for me to cope with your lack of communication.
Yeah, and for you to have seen her, then you at least know she has social media, or you at least have met her in person. Like, you know how you can get to her.
How much weirder is it to go through me? So much weirder.
So much weirder. Yeah.
So much weirder. Because now I know. Now I have to deal with that.
Yeah, now you have to be the one on the...
Like, if you want my permission is one thing. Like, if you're saying like, hey, I was into your friend. Is it okay if I ask for a number? Totally fine. I had a friend do that recently. He was like, what's to do with your friend? And I said, what the fuck do you want with it? And he told me, and I was like, yeah, all good. Here.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
But it's so like, oh, I like your friend. Can you tell her I like her?
It's
like,
also,
the fact that that's still going on for me at 31 is insane.
It's also just funny phrasing. Like, what's the deal? It's very like Seinfeld pitching a joke.
Yeah.
Right?
What's the deal?
What's the deal with Kirsten?
What's the deal with the black chick you brought to dinner?
You seen this in the news?
Can I date her? Yeah, no, she's not 17 like Jerry Seinfeld likes it.
Yes, so no, you wouldn't like her.
Bummer. Yeah, so that's my late arrest.
That's great.
Me about my friends. Anyone across the board. Again, just be honest and upfront. Hey, sorry, friend, I thought she was cute. Not really sure how to approach it. Do you mind if I do, or can I get her number? And then I'm still like, no, you should have asked her in person. Not gone home and DM'd me this, you freak. So many times it happens.
I thought it was funny when you told me that our one New York comic friend was asking you about asking out your other New York comic friend. And you live in Philly, and they see each other constantly. Do you know who I'm referencing? Yeah, and they see each other constantly.
And I yelled at him.
Yeah, you had to go out of your way to ask that.
I airdropped her phone number and said, leave me out of it.
Yeah. This can't be on you.
Like, I don't care. I'm like,
you have a busy life.
With both of, like, I'm friends with like anyone that the situation arises with, but it blows my mind.
Yeah.
And it also makes me think why I'm single. I was like, if guys feel the need that they have to go through a second party to approach someone, my God, I'll be alone forever.
Yeah. If someone came to me and asked me, what's the deal with you? Like, with that intention.
I think. And
then let's say then I didn't tell you that they came to me and you actually started to like them.
Yeah.
I would never tell you that they did, because I know it would ruin, you would immediately unlike them. Like, it could be like a good connection, and I would be like, as long as we both agree to never tell her that you did this, because you cannot do this again.
That's so funny. I pictured like you getting that message and being like, she would eat you alive.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. And the thing is, if someone does just outright message me, I'm approachable if you're honest and upfront.
Agreed.
But the like going through somewhere else just makes me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask friends questions.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, I'm thinking about like approaching this guy. Like, what's his? What do you think about him?
Mm-hmm.
Just to get an opinion like that.
I also think like if you send a message, like, yes, being open and honest is lovely. It also doesn't need to be like, I'm not asking you for like a Romeo and Juliet soliloquy.
Right.
Like, I feel like some of the best messages I've gotten of people asking me out, like after, I didn't meet them after a show, but they saw me or whatever, just like DMing me, are the ones that are just funny. Like, they're just like a joke. They're a reference to something I said. So it's like it's a, I could tell they were listening, Yeah. And it's like, that is cool. And yeah, it's probably not going to work out. Like, I likely will not, but I respect that so much more than like following, slowly liking stuff until you're like, oh, I wanted to do this originally, but I didn't have the courage or whatever.
You just reminded me that a guy DM'd me this weekend trying to act like he came to one of my shows, trying to pretend like he was in attendance.
Oh,
and
I love that.
Joke's on him because he picked the smallest show I've ever had.
Yeah.
So I got a message on my story, and the story post is someone else on the show. And this man says, you had a great run. And I said, question mark?
Mm-hmm.
He said, I meant it was great. I'm sorry. I said, thanks so much. Very loose, playful show tonight. Thanks for coming. And he said, yeah, I was supposed to respond to that on a different story. None of my stories had anything to do with that show. He said, you're killing it. And I said, where were you seated tonight? Because I already knew he was
it Messina?
No, it was the one at the typewriter.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He said, way in the back with my friends. I was told about you, followed your account, and love it. I said, so you weren't there? And he said, no, I was there. He said, it's a really weird message. No need to troll me. All good. Mm-hmm. He said, not at all. I think you're funny as hell. And I said, why lie about being at a show where I checked everyone in?
Yeah.
And he never answered.
What do you gain from this lie?
Right. Just be like, hey, I found your account. I think you're funny.
Would love to come see a show.
Yeah. And I would leave it in my DM request as usual.
The ultimate.
But that one was so psychotic. I was like, what do you get at? Yeah, what do you get out of this?
And if that's not just still the ultimate, even somebody trying actively to go on a date with you still can't show up to a show. Isn't that just how it always
can't
is?
Show up to a show, can't be honest. Just say, hey.
Yeah.
I would like to what?
Maybe he would be a good friend because most of my best friends can't show up to my shows somehow.
Oh
so maybe he's actually a match made in heaven.
I was just talking to someone about this.
But they will always stop you to be like, please let me know when your next show is. Oh my God, we have to come. Whenever it is, we will be there.
My trainer had good advice from this week because I told him there was someone I didn't want to see because they had spent all last week telling me they were coming to a show.
Mm-hmm.
A week in which I had 6 shows, 6 opportunities.
You had so many.
They didn't hear it, never saw them at any shows, which is totally fine. Everyone live your life. I do not care. But do not spend a whole week before. And he said, what I've learned, because in his business, people say they're going to go to the gym, say they're going to go to the trainers, talk, and don't show up. He said, the more they talk, the higher chance they don't show up. He's like, the more you have to say something, the less you do it.
Yeah.
And it's like a very long way to say, be about it, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
But now I know I have to deal with that person's emotions when I see them next, and whatever excuse they're going to give me for not going to show. And you saw, I put it on Instagram. I said, stop threatening me with you having a good time. Show up to a show or don't. I don't need the whole preamble that you want to come to one. I'm so grateful that you want to come and support, but telling me that you're going to is a bizarre waste of both of our time. And a lot, you're not coming. It's like with the friends that are like, we should do lunch. I'm like, okay, I booked it. And they're like,
I just meant like theoretically, eventually, maybe in heaven.
Yeah. Oof, I didn't mean get
oh my
lunch.
God. No, I agree. It is like that was always an issue in theater too. Is like people are like, oh my God, especially because in theater, it's a run of a show. Like I'm doing stand-up. I will, if there's a joke that I want you to hear, I'll do it whenever you come, even if it's a year later or whatever. But it's so limited. Like I'm in a production of this show. It's running for these 2 weekends. This is your only chance to do it. And again, I don't care if you come, but with the performance of how excited you are, that's what gets me so bad is the I'm performing in the show and you're performing all week prior. Like you are going to be at this show. And I would be willing to put money on the fact that you will not be in attendance. And that's fine. I didn't go to you and say like, please come to my show. Please, please, please. You put that pressure on yourself and then get upset. And then the apology is so uncomfortable for me. Like, I don't care.
They almost act like you're in the wrong because then they'll be like, well, when's your next show? And I'm like, I'm not doing this again.
Right. And like my friend Sav is non-binary, and like they have taught me so much about like the etiquette of misgendering, and like the way that like, you know, people have this mentality, especially people who were adults in like 2010, whatever, or like 2014. People have this mentality. It's like kind of a, you know, the stereotypical joke of like, did you just assume my gender? Did you just misgender me? Whatever. And it's like, I have so many trans friends. I have never heard somebody say those words. The only people I've heard say those words are people, Republicans, making fun of that, right? But I've never heard it happen. It's like, what are you making fun of?
Yeah.
And Sav has always said, like, the best thing that you can do, and like it was really like eye-opening for me. It was like, when you misgender me, it's gonna happen. When I knew them, most of our best friendship, they were not going by the same pronouns that they are now and the same name. You're going to dead name them, misgender them. But it's the performative apology that makes everyone feel so uncomfortable. Then they have to basically like comfort you. Like, oh my God, I'm so, and not just apologizing, but then also being like,
it's new for me.
Yeah. And it's like,
just like, I knew you was this, and then it's this.
And it's like, I don't need any excuse. If any, just say thank you and move on. Like when somebody goes, you know, that was just kind of like the etiquette that like was instilled in me from Sav that was like so eye-opening, was like, if you're in the middle of a sentence and you go, oh, this person, he, blah, blah, blah. And then someone is like, oh, it's she or it's they. Don't be like, oh my God, fuck, you're right. Be like, even if the person's not there, just like, thank you. Anyway, she, they, whatever, and just move on. Or even if someone corrects you about their own, just say, got it. But like the act of like sitting there being like, oh my God, I'm such a stupid fucking idiot. I can't get anything right.
My softball coach growing up, if you made a mistake, like, and if you said, oh, sorry, like, or oops, or anything, you'd be like, don't say that.
Yeah.
You just say, get it next time. Get it next time.
Got it. Right. Heard. I'm a big heard proponent. One, because
he was like, say got it next time and just get it next time.
Yeah.
So don't say sorry.
Yeah. And then don't put it on. And that's how I feel when people with shows, people feel the need when you see them next to put on this like, oh my God. And I feel so uncomfortable. Like, you know, you run into someone like.
There are a handful of people that I'm not looking forward to seeing this week because they didn't show up to any show last week, 2 of which I produced myself. And I had someone show up that I didn't even think was coming. Like, had no idea, never mentioned it or anything. And that's the best surprise at support. I had no expectations, and they pulled up
the best,
ready, and were great audience members. When people get so worried about, it's almost like when I mention a show, they think I'm asking them to come.
Agreed.
It's like this narcissistic, like ego, like insecurity. Like if I was right now after this was like, hey Kirsten, like I'm getting coffee after this, you were like, oh, I can't make it. Like that's what it's like. I'm like, I didn't ask.
Yeah,
I'm telling you what I'm doing right now.
That's such a pet peeve of mine in people in general. I talk about this in therapy a lot. Like the people who anything you say, they view as a statement on them. Like, oh, like if you were to be like, oh, I just got done at the gym. The people who would be like, oh, I haven't gone to the gym in a while and I should. Okay.
Yeah, it was
okay. It was not a statement on, or like, I'm not hungry, and somebody else is like, oh, I could eat, but it's only because of blah blah. I don't. It's not a, you know, I mean, I feel like I just, you know, I've been around a lot of insecure people in my life, and being somebody who I am a lot of things, I have a lot of flaws when it comes to my mental health, like we all do, and I have plenty. I'm very severely mentally ill, but insecurity is not typically one of the things that I super struggle with, at least anymore.
Yeah, that's something I have to remember. People are very insecure.
Yeah, and I have to give so much grace with it because I get it, and there was a time we all felt, and you still do in waves, but it's, you know, it's not the same.
Hey everyone, producer Neil. Looks like we ran out of time on this episode. The bell tolled. Don't worry though, part 2 coming soon. Subscribe now to the Dying Up Here podcast at Dying Up Here Pod on YouTube. And make sure to follow Kirsten and Jamie on all the stuff. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Hey, how you doing? This is Neil Wood, one of the co-owners of Drop 10 Media Network and who helps run Biggest Little Comedy. You can check out all the other stuff we do at drop10.com. We've got podcasts, live comedy shows, and so much more. Go over there, support your favorite podcasts, follow them, subscribe. We appreciate it. Again, we're 100% DIY, just a bunch of creatives trying to make it in this, and give us some feedback. We always enjoy a little feedback. Thanks.
This has been a Drop Tent Media production.